and welcome back to our Petrophysics lecture series. Today we are going to look at something that happened inside a reservoir. So let's go back to the very beginning. Imagine a reservoir rocked up underground. From the outside. It may look like just an ordinary piece of rock, but if you could look inside it at a very small scale, we would see many tiny spaces between the grains. These are the pore spaces, and these pores are actually very important because this is where the reservoir fluids are stored. Now, here comes our first question. What was inside these pores before oil and gas arrived? Water? Yes, water. The reservoir does not simply begin with oil filling all of its pores. The pore spaces are initially occupied by water. Later, hydrocarbon migrate to the reservoir and begin to displace some of their water. So, to understand how an oil or gas reservoir becomes filled, we first need to understand this initial water fill condition. Let's take a closer look at this water. Not all the water inside a reservoir behaves in exactly the same way. Some water can move throughout the connected pore spaces. Think of the pore system as the network of very small pathways. If these pathways are connected, water can move through them when a diving force is present. This is what we mean by mobile water. But now imagine that we have a very small pore connected through an extremely narrow pore slot. Water inside this tiny space may not move so easily. Why? Because when the pore becomes very small, force acting between the rock and the fluids becomes more important. These forces can hold some of the water inside the pore system. So, even when another fluid enters the reservoir and starts pushing the water away, some water may remain behind. And this is where capillary forces becomes important. Let's imagine two pores. One is relatively large and the other is very small. If oil enters the large pore, it may easier for the oil to displace the water. But in the smaller pore, things are different. The water is in very confined space, and the interaction between the rock surface and the fluids becomes more important. As a result, water can retain in these small pores and pore troughs. This tells us something very important about reservoir rocks. This size and shape of the pore system can affect how fluids are distributed inside the reservoir. So, when hydrocarbons enter a reservoir, they don't simply remove all the water in one step. This process is much more gradual and depends on the properties of the rock and the fluids. So, where does capillary pressure come in? Now, let's introduce another important term, capillary pressure. Don't worry, we were keeping it simple here. We will study capillary pressure in much more detail in another lecture. For now, imagine water and oil occupying the same pore system. Water and oil are immiscible. In simple words, they do not mix together. So instead of becoming on one fluid, they form a boundary between them. This boundary is called interface. Inside a small pore, this interface can become curved. This curved surface is called meniscus. Water and oil are immiscible. In simple words, they do not mix together. So instead of becoming on one fluid, they form a boundary between them. This boundary is called interface. Inside a small pore, this interface can become curved. This curved surface is called meniscus. Because of the interaction between the fluids and the rock, there can be pressure different across this interface. This is the basic idea behind capillary pressure. So you don't need to memorize the question at this stage. Just remember, capillary pressure is related to the pressure difference across the interface between two immiscible fluids, and this capillary effect can help keep water inside the smaller parts of the pore system. Now, Let's go back to our reservoir. At the beginning, the pore spaces are filled with water. Then hydrocarbon begins to migrate into the reservoir. As they enter the pore system, they start to displace the water. But not all of the water is removed. Some water can move away through a connected pore, while some can remain in smaller pore and pores what because of the capillary effect. So the process looks like something like this. Water filled reservoir, and then hydrocarbon enters, and then water is displayed, and then after that some water remains. This simple sequence is actually very important because once we understand this, we can start understanding how oil and gas become distributed inside a reservoir. One more important point. There is something else we should keep in mind. The reservoir is not perfectly uniform. One part of reservoir may have a large, well-connected pores, while another part may contain the smaller pores and poor connections. Because of this, fluids may not be distributed in exactly the same way everywhere. This difference in reservoir quality becomes very important when we later discuss the hydrocarbon water contact and the transition soon. We will come back to this concept in maybe part 3. So let's quickly summarize that we have learned. Our reservoir initially contains water within its pore spaces. Some of the water can be mobile and move through connected pores. Other water can be retained in smaller pores and pore spots. When hydrocarbons enter the reservoir, they begin to displace the water. And because of capillary effects, this displacement is not always complete. And this gives us basic picture of how fluids begins to occupy our reservoir. But now we have another question. Where do these hydrocarbons come from and how do they actually enter the reservoir? And once they enter, how they push the water away? That's where our story continues. Inshallah, next part will be part 2, and we will talk about hydrocarbon migration and the drainage process. So remember in your praise, Allah Hafiz.